What's going on, my friends? Hope you're having a good day, and I hope you're having a good week as always. I want to talk about a report that came out in Reuters recently. It's out of Spain, and they're now saying that the first case, or at least the first trace, rather, of COVID-19 was found in March 2019 of sewage samples out of Spain. It's very important for multiple reasons. We've talked about this months ago, but now that the COVID-19 is back in the news, they're honing in on one part, leaving out a lot of other parts. So we're kind of going to talk about the full story that most of the media is not talking about. The first thing we'll talk about is a whole video I did recently, which shows that cases are on the rise again in the United States, but deaths are on the decline in the United States. And they leave out the second part, of course. And they're also leaving out when the virus came. If the virus came in as early as March 2019, like they're now reporting out of Reuters, then that means that if people were infected, let's say in October or June or July or August, that lockdowns are not necessarily a good strategy, which a lot of people had speculated to begin with. Lockdowns work if the virus is brand new and it just got to your country and you're trying to protect and keep people away to keep hospitalizations down or whatever they said. But if the virus was here much longer, then it isn't so effective. So we're going to talk about it. We're going to use real articles, real science, real math, and not just partisan politics, which they just can't stop doing. It's insane. But we'll calm down, keep our cool, stay calm, stay collected. God bless you. What's up, Ray? Hang out for 2 minutes before everyone gets in. I'm going to drink my coffee. I can't play myself. I got the 1-2, the water and the coffee. Katie, what's going on? Ann from Pennsylvania, God bless you. I want to say my family was very sick in June 2019. God bless your family. Did anyone notice that Florida and Texas are having serious problems with the virus? I mean, define serious problems, though. They're talking about cases, and, I guess, you'd have to look at hospitalizations and death and such. But, yeah, I notice. We notice. Carissa, hello from the grocery store. You better not drop those groceries. Thanks for being here. What's going on, Jim? Michelle, how you doing? God bless you. Thank you so much. Linda, that interesting point of view. As always, we're going to get down to the source. Jacob, what's up? God bless you, brother. Petunia, what's up? I'm going to pin this to the top real quick. Hold on 1 second. Vegas in the house. It's my free email list, stayintouchwithme.com. You know what? I'm not even going to pin it this time because I want to see your comments easier. So stayintouchwithme.com, the easiest email list you'll ever need to be on. I'm working on a lot of stuff. I recently signed a lease to an apartment, so I'm already moved, but I'm in the process of fully moving. At my new place, I'm going to set up a studio, have everything. We're just going to keep taking stuff to the highest level. So thank you guys for supporting so far. It's allowed me to take the next step in my life and really try to build a nice little area for my place so I can, take everything to the next level, keep getting better quality on the production side and also on the editing side. Life is good. I appreciate you guys. What's up, Daytona Beach? Steven said, big fan. I've never said hello. Well, thank you, Steven. You picked a good day. I saw it. God bless you. And God bless Daytona Beach. Anthony. Victor said, hello from the country that didn't initiate a lockdown, Sweden. God bless you, Sweden. All right, let's get into it. Actually, let me get another sip of coffee. Sorry, this stuff's good. I wonder if it's the caffeine or it's psychological. I just need something warm. Maybe I could do like warm lemon juice or something, but it just feels good. All right. Excuse myself, sorry. So, I talked about this months ago, not to pat myself on the back, but apparently I'm not as easy to fool as other people. And I questioned months ago, I said, like a lot of people did, if this virus didn't come here in January or February or March, the whole premise of the lockdown was really, let's catch it, it's early, we'll stop hospitalizations. Like you said, Sweden ended up going for a different strategy, but a lot of it depended on when the virus came. We said it came out of China. It came in maybe December, January, February. Those were what the experts were telling us. It came from a wet market and a bat, that someone ate, or I don't know what they're talking about. But this came out of Reuters yesterday, which further confirms what a lot of us suspected, especially people that got very sick with a lot of the symptoms in 2019. It's straight out of Reuters. It said coronavirus traces found in March 2019 sewage sample, Spanish studies shows. I'll just read it out loud. Madrid, Spanish virologists have found traces of the novel coronavirus in samples of Barcelona wastewater collected in March 2019, 9 months before the Covid-19 disease was identified in China, the University of Barcelona said on Friday. So 9 months before China figured out what the virus was and identified it, it was found, now that they're retroactively looking for it, it was found in Spanish wastewater in March. What does this mean? First off, the media likes to spread fear, which is horrible. If you look up the negative health effects of fear, fear lowers your immune system. It weakens your body. Google it. Fear is bad for you. So the same media networks that just fear, they're literally weakening your immune system. You can report a bad situation, but try to lift people up like we do here every day. Hey, the country's not doing so well. However, we're not going to cry about it. We're not going to scare people. We're just going to prepare ourselves and live our lives. That's what the news should be doing. But they spread fear, which destroys your body and your immune system more than any of this stuff that they're claiming to protect you from ever will. That's the first. Sorry, I just had to get that out of the way because they just disgust me. But the common sense stuff that they weren't talking about is, if you don't identify a disease, it doesn't exist. I mean, it exists, but it doesn't exist in the medical world. So for instance, let's just use HIV. Say HIV was around for 60 years, but no scientists ever decided to test for it. They didn't name it. They couldn't figure out what it was. Maybe they didn't even know it was a thing because they didn't know how to test it. No one's going to have it according to the experts. Even if 20 million people had HIV, if you don't have a test for it, if you didn't name it, if you didn't identify it, no medical expert, no hospital, no doctor, no one's testing for it because tests for it aren't available. This is the first basic thing that they never talk about. They identified COVID-19 in maybe December, whatever they said, in China, whenever that was. I'd have to look again. 9 months before, so whatever, you could do the math. But they identified it in China. They said, this is COVID-19. And then they got to the point where they started getting scared about it enough that they started mass producing tests all over the world. So naturally, people are getting tested for it millions of times because they identified it and said it was a major threat. All of 2019, it doesn't mean people didn't have it. It doesn't mean it wasn't widespread. It doesn't mean millions of people didn't get infected by it. It just means they didn't know what it was. They had no name for it. They had no identification for it. They didn't discover it. They didn't think about it. So they didn't have any tests for it. So just because we said 0 people died in 2019 from COVID-19, it doesn't mean 0 people had COVID-19. It just means they didn't look for it. So now on the flip side, before we get into the flip side, they told us in March that, this virus is so new from a wet market in China. What we should do is lock down because we want to stop the spread or slow the spread of the virus from the United States. We don't want over-hospitalizations, and we certainly don't want massive deaths happening because of over-hospitalizations. That was kind of the logic behind it. So they did all this stuff. They shut everything down, and there was no massive over-hospitalization spike. On the flip side, and this is what they're not really going to talk about, if you look at the death rate during the lockdown, that's when all the deaths were. Now you have more cases. Cases are higher than they ever were in the United States, but there's less deaths. There's, in some cases 2, 3 times, 4 times less deaths than at the peak. So what does that tell you? That's a good thing. That means either we're figuring it out with therapeutics or cure-wise. People are handling it. Maybe we're getting herd immunity. Maybe people are stronger because working out, being around family, social interaction, these things that we've known for thousands of years make you healthier and a stronger person, are actually better than canceling jobs, closing work, just destroying the fabric of society, keeping elderly people inside, things that are not healthy. It's not even remotely controversial or questionable. During a normal from 2000 to 2018, if you asked anybody, what's healthier for an elderly person or an overweight person or someone with diabetes or anybody, a kid to an adult, what's healthier? Staying inside, canceling work, canceling school, not being able to do stuff, having no social life, or, and with that came unhealthier diets, unhealthier actions. There's many reports in mainstream news about how people were doing more things like pornography, drinking more alcohol, eating more, because they shut down society. You can't go out and do things. No one in their right mind would have ever said that's the healthier thing than going out, playing sports, going to the gym. Not a single person. Everybody knows that. It's just basic human nature, basic common sense. Literally, everybody knew that until 2019. Now this got into someone's head, or 2020. Now everybody says, oh no, that's the healthy route, and you exercising and like going to places and enjoying yourself, that's unhealthy. So the point I'm trying to make is multiple things. One, I'm not personally convinced that lockdown saved millions of lives. Trump will tell you that lockdown saved millions of lives. The media will tell you that lockdown saved millions of lives. People don't want to hear it, but from Texas to Florida to Utah to Mississippi, all of these people are in on it. They're all buying into this narrative that they need to close things down in order to stop deaths from a virus. But if you don't know when the virus got here, how are you going to protect people from it? And this idea that you can even stop a virus, I mean, if we knew how to stop certain viruses, flus would have been gone 70 years ago. The first flu vaccine was in 1942 or earlier, depending what study you read. That's over 75 years of a flu vaccine. The flu has not only disappeared, it doesn't disappear, but it's actually gotten stronger recently and killed more people. In the last 10 years, we've had some of the worst flu seasons in decades. There's been worse in the past, but you get what I'm saying. You can't just disappear certain flus and certain strains of viruses. So where does this come from with this virus that they say, we're going to get rid of it, it's going to be gone? What if it's not gone? What if it never disappears? What if it comes back every year, and it comes back in the summer sometimes, it comes back in the winter? Are they just going to shut things down, shut down bars, shut down gyms? This is not how to operate a society. And if it was here longer, that changes their whole narrative of it came out of a wet market in 2020 of China. We have to do all this. They don't even know. It could have been here for years. It could have been here for 10 years. It could have been here for 20 years. I'm not saying for sure it would have, but if you don't test for a virus, you don't find it. They don't test that strongly with a lot of coronaviruses. They know that the common cold is a form of a coronavirus, or you get it from a form of coronavirus, but they don't have mass testing all over the place for this stuff. So they don't have, they don't identify if you have it and you died from it. There's nothing in science or virology that they've ever done like this. And then they say it can jump from 13 feet. It might be airborne. It might not be airborne. And you see, I went out to get a coffee. They have a barrier in front of their face, and then they make a mandatory mask. If it's airborne, the barrier doesn't work. It could go under the barrier. It can go outside your mask. So if the virus is truly airborne, none of these masks or barriers are going to work unless it's fully closed off like Bubble Boy. And then if it's not an airborne virus, if it's a virus that, comes through spit, if you have a barrier, I can't possibly reach you. There's no need to double up. Like, none of this even follows science. It's absolutely insane. It's like, we're going to allow 10,000 people to march in the streets, but you can't open your bar with 20 people in it because we've decided that systemic racism is more of a problem than the virus is, but you protesting for your freedoms is not important, we've decided. The Lancet study, which is one of the most prestigious medical journals, The Lancet, they've also become a big name in virology and infectious diseases. They got caught with one of their biggest retractions in modern history because they misinformed you about hydroxychloroquine. Does anybody in their right mind think that this is random? The Lancet just made their biggest retraction mistake because, they just messed up now when we needed them the most. It most likely happened because President Trump said hydroxychloroquine works, and these people are so unhinged, it's like partisan politics to the extreme. Well, if Trump says this works, we have to find out why this doesn't work and how bad it is for people. If it was bad for people, it wouldn't have been approved for the last 50, 60 years. It's a common malaria drug. They've already done studies on the side effects for it. It's one of the most studied, drugs out of all the ones they're talking about, all the new ones and the vaccines and the, whatever the Gilead science drug is working on. There is data. They lied about the data. They skewed the data or just purposely did it wrong in order to mislead because they hate the president that much and they hate some of us that much. It's ridiculous. But this study about it coming in March 19 is huge because, If the virus was here all year, that means it's already spread. If it's already spread, you can't stop a virus with a lockdown if it's already had 2 years to fully spread. And if that were the case, they wouldn't have locked down in March. What did they tell you in March? It just frustrates me because it's so simple. Yet they use fear and politics to just confuse people into like zombies. But the whole reason we locked down in March is because they said this was a brand new virus. It barely just got to the United States, and we need to close it off and stop it from fully spreading everywhere else too quickly, or we're going to have over-hospitalizations. What if I said in March, I said, hey guys, let's not close down in March. Let's close down in June. What would they have said to me? They would have screamed at me and said, Anomaly, you're going to kill elderly people. We need to lock down now because every day matters. If you don't lock down this second, the virus is going to spread. So their whole logic is we need to lock down as soon as possible when the virus got here in order to slow the spread. You can't wait till June. Got to do it in March. That's why they did it. What if the virus was here in March 2019? March, April, June, July, August. It's got already a whole year to spread throughout the public. So if you close down in March of 2020 and you miscalculated where the virus came from or how long it was susceptible to the public, that means the lockdown doesn't work. And there's studies to prove what I'm saying. In the UK, they did a study of people dying indoors during the lockdown. Out of that study, the overwhelming majority of people who died during the lockdown did not have COVID-19. So there's other reasons people are dying indoors. And there's many ways to think about this. People afraid to go to the hospital because you scared the crap out of them. People can't go to the hospital because you canceled elective surgeries. You know, it not being healthy for people to be inside. If you take away a lively elderly person's life, she goes out, plays bocce balls, hangs out with their friends, and you lock them in their room for 3 months, you're killing them. You take someone from the inner cities that doesn't have enough vitamin D or has a schedule or maybe lives in a bad area, has child abuse, domestic abuse problems in the family, like lives in a broken home, and they go to school or they go to their work or they go to the gym to get away and become something, and you force them to stay home and they don't have the resources to exercise. They don't have the resources to get fresh air. They don't have that luxury to do what these people in the hills can do. Then that's killing them. It's hard to figure out how lockdowns could be unhealthy. We could talk about how they could be healthy. Yeah, you could not interact with as many people, not spread as many germs. Yeah, that's obvious. We could talk about that. But what about all the dozens of unhealthy effects of the lockdown? So you look at the daily deaths, they are completely in line with the lockdown. When we had the most deaths, we had the lockdown. When the lockdown got lifted up, the deaths declined, even when the cases declined. So it's not more cases equals more deaths. We have more cases now and less deaths. So there's many reasons. Maybe we learned, maybe there's cures, maybe people figured out what to do to their body, but also what I just said could be true as well. So this is a big study. Italy has a study that they said they found coronavirus in the sewage as early as December. Reuters is reporting that Spain had it in 2019. And just to repeat, and then I'm going to get to some questions, you don't have any confirmed cases if you don't have a test. There's no telling when this virus got here. We're going to learn it was earlier, but at a certain point, they didn't test in March, they didn't test in April, they didn't test in June of 2019, they didn't test all of 2019, so they had 0 confirmed cases. Does not mean it didn't spread, doesn't mean it wasn't there, didn't mean it didn't reach the United States. How did it get in Spain in March if it came from a wet market in December? These people are liars. And in general, with the tests, you got to really ask about how they're working. For example, there's different types of tests for everything. The test that goes way back to your nose and gets like to the biggest core, it's probably more accurate than a flimsy test that you don't have to do that for. You know, it gets to the source. It's the same thing as anything in this world. You buy a cheap couch, you get a cheap couch. You buy an expensive couch, you get what you pay for a lot of times. So all of these tests, you know, it really leads me to ask the question of like, how well do they work? They're so new. I'm not saying they don't work, but there's the really serious ones, and then there's the new ones, and then these people make them, and then these people make them, and then these people get the test, and then you got New York saying you have it even though they didn't. Thousands of people were added to the list that they never tested, they just assumed, and then also anybody that tested positive with the virus died from the virus, and they're leading all those. this is the most skewed, most deranged form of government control we've ever seen. And I just want to say before I leave, obviously in the red states, they're doing a little bit better of a job as far as keeping freedom open, but not really. Now they're closing down. They're all caving. They're caving on every level of, cancel culture. They're caving on every level. Not a single Republican I could find in Congress, Senate, or the presidency will give people transparency of data. I mean, Trump's trying to do it. He's saying, yeah, cases are up, but deaths are down. He's finally saying that. But this idea that they saved millions of lives from canceling travel in the lockdown, it's a total farce. It's a total fallacy. It's a total guess at best. And Trump says it, the media says it, millions of people would have died. You're assuming that the virus just got here in January, and you're assuming that locking people in their houses is a healthy way to live, and you're assuming so many things. And the more data we get and the more evidence we get that the virus was here much longer, the less and less likely it is that travel bans did anything to help people. The less and less likely it is that lockdowns did anything to help people. The more and more evidence we're going to find, not just with business foreclosure, not just with these riots and function of society, not just with, comparing all this stuff, you're going to find that these lockdowns killed more people than they ever saved. And I can't prove that right now, but as more data comes out and as you see what happens to a country that falls apart completely, what happens when 30, 40, 50% of businesses go out of business, what happens when a wealthy country goes $6 trillion in debt and can't function anymore socially, politically, or financially, you're going to find out what happens. There's a reason that people come from South America. El Salvador, I had a driver in Lyft the other day, who's a big conservative, by the way. He came from El Salvador, and he said, the Civil War in El Salvador reminded me exactly of this. And he said, America's going to crap because of spoiled, rotten kids who don't know what freedom is. And he said, this is exactly what happened in my country. It's why I came to America. When America, the safe haven that everybody wants to come to from Africa, from South America, from Mexico, from Canada, even from Europe and Asia, when we're not a safe haven anymore and we can't operate and function as a free society as we have for the last 50, 60 years or so, then what happens? You're going to see poverty, death, more than coronavirus could ever cause. And even with all this insane testing, you could look on the charts right now. In the world, coronavirus, I'm going to go just to be totally sure, I don't want to misinterpret. Coronavirus has 500,000 deaths right as of now, and it's June 27th. Alcohol kills 3 million people worldwide every year. I'm sorry, it's just true. Diarrhea kills millions of people worldwide. Imagine a diarrhea chart that they were showing how many people were dying from diarrhea. If you were over 50, you'd be afraid to take a dump. You'd be closing up your butt, no offense, because you'd be scared because CNN and Fox News are telling you to die from that. So 500,000 people is horrible, but on a global scale of heart disease, diabetes, obesity, opioid deaths, drug abuse, alcohol, drugs, diarrhea, cancer, everything. I mean, it's not this astronomically high number that justifies closing everything down, and you can't hide from the world. You can't be a bubble boy. It's like, oh, well, anomaly, you don't understand. Diarrhea is not an infectious disease, but there's millions of viruses or thousands. I don't know the exact number. You have them in you right now. Your immune system, which they destroy with all the fear that they pump and all these crappy foods they sell you in the commercials of Fox News and CNN, they're destroying your body and weakening your immune system. So then, yeah, you might be affected by the virus, but if you take care of yourself, you could fight these things. You could fight the common cold, you could fight the coronavirus, you could fight the flu, you could fight pneumonia. And if you're elderly or overweight or diabetic, it's going to be harder for you. That's just life. That's with every virus and every disease and every disorder and every aspect of physical exercise. It will be harder the older you get. As I get older, unfortunately, I'm not a superhuman, so when I'm 80, I'm going to be more susceptible to coronavirus and the flu like everyone else. But you can't just destroy society in whole because you're trying to save hundreds of thousands of lives. In return, you see exactly why I lean conservative and libertarian. Anytime the government gets the power to do something, they screw it up. You want to keep freedom in America. You don't want communism. You don't want Marxism. You don't want Democratic Party corruption. And you don't want Republican complacency. Because they take a hold of stuff, shut things down, destroy your business, cause more damage than they ever save thousands of lives, probably destroy hundreds of thousands of lives, start wars in other countries, kill millions of people, and then turn around and tell you you're welcome because they gave you a $1,200 check from the IRS. These people are a joke. And this is why people need to understand what they have in this country, or it's all going to go away. And in this election, I'm disgusted with the Republicans, but if you look, no matter how complacent, no matter how sold out and lazy or incompetent they are, whatever it is, corrupt, they're 10 times as good as the Democratic Party. These people can't do anything right. They have mass media, celebrities, manipulation of science, education. They've distorted everything. They're living in an inverted reality. They lie about everything. If they protest, it's okay. If you protest, it's bad. These are control freaks, and that's why on a political scale, the left wing in the Democratic Party is more government. The right wing in theory, not right now, but in theory is less government. You don't want more government. Don't let these liars and sneaks use women, children, race, tragedies, horrific events to destroy everything. One person got killed by a cop, and you see they're pushing to take away Aunt Jemima off of syrup labels. Voice actors are quitting because they played Cleveland and an Asian woman, and they feel so bad. Jenna Marbles on YouTube's retiring. Master bedroom can't be called master bedroom in Texas anymore. Over one guy's death, and then the black activism turns into LGBT Pride Month in a week, and you don't even notice it. Guys, this whole thing is just such a joke. It's pathetic, it's dangerous, and there is no status quo like, oh, this is the safe route. It's the safe route to live your life like Bubble Boy over a virus that's killed half as many people as diarrhea has, and 1/6 of how many people that alcohol kills. It's disgraceful. I mean, this is so pathetic on every level. But once again, the point I wanted to make for this thing is Reuters reported that the coronavirus was found in sewage in March 2019. And the more they test and the more they retroactively test, they're going to find out the longer it was here. It could have been here. Who knows how long it was here? And in general, if you didn't watch their media, if you didn't eat their food, if you didn't drink their drinks, if you didn't destroy your body mentally, physically, and spiritually with these wicked people and everything they push politically, socially, and entertainment-wise, you would be stronger and more able to fight any virus, whether it's the flu, whether it's the coronavirus, whether it's COVID-19. You'll be able to fight it with a positive attitude, with the right diet and exercise, and hopefully one day when they figure it out, the right medication. This is life. Things happen. Good things happen, bad things happen, viruses exist, but this idea that it's the safe route, they'll never stop. And this virus, if it's anything like the flu, it's never going away. So these Republicans who think, oh, it's going to go away in the summer. Well, didn't happen. It's going to go away in the winter. And it's not going to go away. The only way it's going to go away, according to some scientists, is if it wasn't a natural virus to begin with, and it'll break down if it was altered. If it's a natural virus, the chances are it might not go away. I mean, maybe it will, maybe it won't. Maybe it will get herd immunity. Maybe they'll have a cure, therapeutic, or a vaccine that doesn't actually hurt you, according to allegedly whatever they think they're doing. Maybe that'll happen, but maybe it won't go away. Maybe it'll be like the thousands of other things that just don't disappear out of thin air, and maybe we're going to have to deal with it. But we can't just live this life of like Bubble Boy. It's so dangerous. It's so bad. I heard a story one time of a vegan mom who didn't give her kid any sort of anything, like no chemical products, no anything, didn't let her kid play here, didn't let her kid play there. As soon as her kid was old enough to go to school, someone hit her with an egg or something and just blew up in rashes because the egg alone was like destroying her body because she'd never been susceptible to anything. This is the science of vaccines. It's how they're supposed to work. They give you a little bit of the virus or whatever they're trying to protect you from. They give you a small amount, and then you become strong and your antibodies fight it off, and then your body's able to be susceptible. That's how vaccines work. That's how being a kid is supposed to work. You get them, and then you become strong to them. If you hide from everything all the time, you're weakening your body. You're weakening your immune system. And that's why people, like even Fauci admitted, that they need to test vaccines thoroughly because they do have a little piece of the virus or whatever they're protecting you from it. So if you're a weakened immune system or you're a certain genetic type, you might actually get worse from it. That's not me saying it. That's not a conspiracy theory Facebook mom group. Dr. Fauci and Bill Gates both admit that. They know that. They know how their things work. That's why they need indemnification, because it's not, they give it as a one-size-fits-all approach, but it's not truly a one-size-fits-all approach, just like a lot of things are. And that's what they do with intersectionality. They say they're so nice. Oh, I don't see a difference between gender and race. It's like, really? I do. And, the Irish person can't get as much sun as the African person. And if you tell them they're the same and it doesn't matter, you're actually hurting them. That's why people have different hair products and different skin products. It's not out of racism. It's because if you're in touch with your culture and you have a family that tells you how to act, maybe you use cocoa butter, maybe you use a different type of shampoo, maybe you use more sunscreen, maybe you hide from the sun in an umbrella because you're going to get, you're going to burn from it. It's okay to have certain differences. We all deserve equality, peace, freedom, and love in this country, but this idea that lock everybody inside and that's a one-size-fits-all approach, or everybody get this medicine and it's going to be good for everyone, it's just not true. So that's my little story for today. God bless you guys. I appreciate you. And once again, coronavirus traces found in March 2019 sewage sample, according to Reuters. I'm going to read a little bit further. It says, you want more data, blah, blah, blah. It's definitely interesting. It's suggestive. So like with everything, they're not sure. Allegedly, they'll find out more. On one hand, they tell you the science is settled. We know everything. If you question us, you're a conspiracy theorist. On the other hand, they say, we're not sure. They went from saying it was airborne, it wasn't airborne, it goes 6 feet, it goes 13 feet, it can't transmit to humans, it can transmit to humans. If you get it once, you can't get it again, or you can get it again. Guys, one side of their face, they're telling you that they're learning as they're going on, and they were wrong about what they told you 2 months ago. Don't wear a mask, do wear. And then on the other side of their face, they tell you that if you question them, you're a horrible person. On one side of their face, they tell you if you protest the lockdown, it's going to spread coronavirus, or if you support the president. On the other hand, they say that racism is such a problem that their protesters can be in 30 times bigger groups than you could be, but that's not going to hurt people. And they did a CNN study to find out that nobody, coronavirus didn't spread through the Black Lives Matter protest, because that's what they want you to think. If there's a Trump outdoor rally of 20,000 people and a Black Lives Matter outdoor rally of 20,000 people, I'll be honest and I'll say, listen, if the virus is going to spread more, both of them, it could spread in either of them. It could spread at a, anti-lockdown protest. It could spread at a Black Lives Matter protest. If that's how that works, then it's a possibility, I'm not going to sit and tell you there's no evidence. If you go and play tennis with 3 people, that's a violation of the lockdown orders. But if you're outside and just with tens of thousands of people while we're getting fundraising off it, then it's not bad. These people are just wicked, stone cold liars. It's insane. It's like they still have basketball hoops broken out. I can't play basketball with 2 people, but you're allowed to march in the streets with tens of thousands of people. These are wicked people. And, they're going to get exactly what they ask for, a failed city and a failed country. If Republicans don't step up and do something about it, they're weak and pathetic. It's just so lame. All right. God bless you guys. I'm going to answer a few questions now, and then I'm going to probably head out in 30 minutes. God bless you, Tammy. What's up, Rashimi? God bless you, Maria. Someone said, yeah, they got a lot of things going on. Diane said tracers aren't even allowed to ask if you were part of the protesters. Yeah, I read that somewhere as well. With the contact tracers, they don't want to be offensive, so they're not going to ask. These people are unhinged. They've destroyed every institution. I'm big on science. How can you do science when you can't tell the truth? If you're contact tracing someone, which is creepy, if you're going to contact trace, you got to trace everyone they talk to. Not, we're only going to trace them if they interact with people outside of the protest. We don't want to ask them about that. Then it's not a contact tracer. It's a political farce. I mean, these people have destroyed academia, politics, everything. It's insane. Yeah. Someone said, are you coming over to Parler anytime soon? I'm on Parler right now. My name on Parler, it's Anomaly. If you spell it AN0MALY, my little @ symbol is Dream Rare. So if you want to see me on Parler, it's @Dream Rare. But at the end of the day, here's 2 thoughts. One, Parler is new. That's cool. I'm on it because everyone else is. But it's good to have in the back burner. But at the same time, if you want to win an election, you want to change the country, you can't sit in an echo chamber of all Republicans. I'm going to post on there, but, our problem is not people who agree with us. Our problem is people who can't even compromise, So I'm barely going to post on there. I'm going to do mostly Facebook and Twitter or Instagram. I'll be on Parler, but I'm not going to make it a main thing for multiple reasons. But one of them is like, we can't just hide in the corner. But it is good to get people on a different social media to have that, in the back burner as well. And I'm starting to use Facebook. I'm kind of loyal to because they actually treat me right. Believe it or not, Facebook treats me right. They don't ban me or do anything crazy, at least recently. I talked to somebody. I actually have a connection. Like, they actually semi-care about me. YouTube, I could care less about that. Twitter, I could really care less about that. I'm trying to think of the other ones. Instagram's okay, but overall, I'm on Parler at Dream Rare, DreamRare. That's my name. And on Instagram Dream Rare, at Dream Rare, and on Parler at Dream Rare. Someone said, what's the statistic of how many people died from diarrhea versus COVID? I'm searching it right now. In 2017, almost 1.6 million people died from diarrhea diseases globally. So 1.6 million people died in 2017 of diarrhea. But the talking point is then they say, well, diarrhea is not contagious, so we're doing this because it's contagious. But it's like, there's so many, the flu is contagious. I'm sure other viruses are contagious. It doesn't mean you could just shut the whole world down to try to save like 100,000 or 500,000 lives. You got to solve it other ways. It's nuts, but whatever. Someone said first time commentator. I think there's certain things that I just wish there was a party in this country that actually talked about it, but I'm sure. Someone says some of Trump's ads were banned for hate speech on Facebook. Here's the big problem moving forward, and I tried to explain it the other day, but you got to understand this stuff's not going to end. For Facebook, obviously Facebook has a little bias, but Zuckerberg and Facebook was actually trying to be semi-fair. Keep in mind, I don't think they're fair. But they were trying to not be like Twitter, YouTube, and such. The reason Facebook caved is because big advertisers that spend millions of dollars on Facebook, if not more, they pulled out of Facebook. So now advertisers are threatening Facebook and saying, if you don't ban Trump's speech or whatever, or his hate ads, we're going to stop advertising. So Facebook lost a bunch of money. Their stock went down like 8%, and that's what made Zuckerberg change. I'm not backing up Zuckerberg in that, but I'm just telling you that's why they're doing it. And the reason you need to hear this is not to act like Facebook is perfect, is because they're going to do this to everything in the world. It doesn't matter if Trump wins. There's a big chance that Democrats sweep this next election. I know you don't want to hear it, but it's a possibility. There's a possibility that Trump wins. We'll see. However, even if Trump wins, even if all Republicans win everything, which is very unlikely, this is not going to end this stuff. They're going to pull ads. They own every, mass media company, basically. They own a lot of the institutions and the corporations. If you don't play ball, they're just going to pull money out. These people have no shame. Even in the city, who runs at Los Angeles? Garcetti. Who runs New York City? Bill de Blasio. Who runs the state? Cuomo. Who runs the state? Newsom. These are Democrats. They'll implode their own city. They'll destroy their own businesses. They'll hurt their own people. They'll put elderly people in, COVID-19 people into nursing homes. There's no low they won't go. So it's like, even if Zuckerberg tries to stop, they pull the rug out from under him. And he's not doesn't care that much to begin with for Trump anyway. And as far as Trump, or even if he wins, they're in implosion mode. They're burning things down. What they're doing to the cities physically, burning, looting, rioting, destroying, graffitiing, vandalizing, what they're doing physically to the cities is what these people are doing mentally and financially throughout all corporate America. And you can't name me 10 corporations that don't support this Marxist movement that they're disguising as black activism. they're all in on it. So even if you try to fight it, they're going to do it. Even with Parler, I'm not saying they're going to do it, but with Gab, G-A-B, Gab was Parler without a political backing. Parler is like Republican, total to the, it's establishment to me. I'm on it because it's big, but I think it's an establishment it's not truly independent. Gab was truly independent, and Gab got taken off of Apple Store. So you can't even download the Gab app because they removed it because of one event. Somebody streamed it to Gab, and then they said Gab is filled with terrorists or something, and took it down. You know how many bad people have streamed on Facebook and YouTube and Twitter? So many horrible people have committed treacherous acts and streamed on Facebook and Twitter. No one cares. One time it happens and the guy had a Gab account, they take down Gab. So, we're fighting an uphill battle. I'm not protecting Zuck, but I'm just saying the reason he pulled the ads is because big money is threatening Zuckerberg. These people are like commies. It's like, they won't leave you alone. Even if you're like a nice person and you're like, you're like, hey, I just semi-disagree with you. They'll find every way to financially just destroy your company. Someone said Trump sent Lightfoot a scathing letter. Yeah, but what's a letter going to do? I mean, that's nice, but like he sent him a letter, and then she tweeted, Trump shouldn't talk to me, and got 100,000 likes on her comment. What's a letter going to do? I mean, Trump's trying, kind of. In some ways, not really. He's trying, but he can't save you. I hate to break it to you guys, but like the whole institutional of America is turned against you. So there's nothing he can do. He can write letters. He's trying. I'm going to vote for him, but I just don't see it getting better. And that's not a negative thing. I just think prepare, be ready for whatever's going to happen, and be, willing to stand up for it. I think at a certain point, I know a lot of people can't say anything because of work or business, or they don't want to, bother anybody, which I totally understand. But if you follow history, it's not going to get better. Like if you think it's safe to not say anything, I understand the thought process behind it. Like, I agree. If I had a family and a certain job, I probably would not say anything as well. But think about 10 years. Maybe in 10 years, you would have wished you said something. I'm not saying that. I'm not trying to push people's hand, because there's a way to say stuff. There's a way not. There's a good time to be quiet. But I think people just assume it's going to like go away, or Trump's going to save them or something. But at this rate, it's going to be harder in 5 years to stand up for yourself than it will be now. It's going to be harder in a year. I'm not saying to say anything or do anything radical. Please don't. But like in general, I just don't. I think people think this is just going to get better. And I'm not saying it's like horrible, but these are going to be some interesting couple years. No problem, Jeanette. Someone said Trump's tweets are getting frustrated because we need him to stand against these sham guidelines. I mean, he's doing some stuff and some stuff he's not doing, but I don't know what he can really do. He needs there to be a cultural and mental shift. If half the country doesn't want to listen to you and they're ready to destroy themselves, there's nothing you could do. Leave them, let them do it. I don't know. Move away from these people and then protect your own community. These are the things I could think of right now. I disagree with how Trump handled COVID. I think the Republicans are throwing this election. I think they're very likely to get swept. They're blowing it. They better have some tricks up their sleeve for the next couple months, because they're blowing this entire year. However, I'm not blaming Trump. I don't think there's that much he could really do. What can he do? How can he stop these people from, I don't know. It's so widespread. It's going to take more than just his actions, I think. Linda said, why do you think people have such thin skin? I think it comes from privilege, honestly. If you grow up in a bad area, you don't have the privilege of being offended by words. If you grow up in a wartime, you don't have the privilege of being offended by words. It comes from a spoiled generation. These kids who call everyone else privileged, they're privileged. It doesn't matter if you're black, Hispanic, white. You have the privilege of being such a softie that you can complain about tweets and Aunt Jemima. You think people in World War I or World War II cared about Aunt Jemima? You think people who had to suffer through the Bolshevik Revolution cared about Aunt Jemima? You think about people who had to, suffer through the ills of, any war or any bad time or any famine of any ethnicity or any sort of enslavement. You think they had the luxury of being like, man, there's a microaggression at me in the university I just got to, even though I don't deserve to be here. This is all privilege. I had a great convo with somebody from El Salvador, and he told me, he's like, man, this country's going down the drain because of spoiled people. He told me, he's like, this country's free. I came to America from El Salvador. I was proud to be here. He said he thinks, he agrees with Trump actually. He said he thinks people who burn the flag should go to jail. He's like, in El Salvador, he's like, you go to jail if you burn the flag. Like, you're not allowed to be hateful towards the country in that extreme. I don't know if I agree with it. However, I hear what he's saying. I do agree with the fact that he's like, why are people so thin-skinned? They act like everyone's against. It's privilege. That is the biggest privilege, to be offended by a word or a tweet. Jaden O'Neill made a George Floyd joke. You could say it's tasteless. You could say it's unnecessary. You could say it's horrible, but they're trying to kick him out of school, and all the athletes are boycotting because he made a joke that they've been making about Amy Winehouse, and they've made it about every Whitney Houston. It's been a running joke for 20 years, but people are so upset. I'm not saying you have to agree with the joke. You could say it's horrible, but you're gonna boycott your own college because of something someone said on Twitter. One 19-year-old white kid. Or 20-year-old. It's like these people are so soft and pathetic. It's so embarrassing. And you reap what you sow. So if enough people can, wake people up and get people on the right track, then it'll change. But if not, it's going to take decades, And I think, they always blame millennials, and I'm not trying to generation shame, but they always blame millennials. But who raised millennials? Who were the ones who raised? I'm lucky, and my parents did a pretty good job. I could probably be better in some aspects, but even my parents had divorced. I had a interesting life where I moved a lot, but even through that, they prioritized values. Both of my parents, I was blessed to. They prioritized, being humble, working hard. I'm very grateful that they did so even throughout turmoil, because it made me a decent, semi-decent person. Who raised these other kids? I don't know. Who let them act this way? And then at a certain point, they just became crappy adults. And now there's tens of millions of crappy people who are just totally unhinged, just can't be respectful or honest, or I don't know. I don't really know exactly what happened, but it's like everyone blames my generation. You guys raised us, so at a certain point, they bamboozled people, and it's generational now. And now you reap the benefits, or the plagues of what happens when there's this many people who are this rotten. And it's a cyclical thing. Good times create weak men create hard times create strong men create good times create weak men, and we had good times, and they were very, very good. The 90s till now, perhaps, the greatest time in human civilization. I don't know. Pretty good. Even now, before this stuff, pretty good. I could order delivery food for $20. You can make $20 in 2 hours, even with a low-wage job, and you can get someone to deliver you hot food instead of having to hunt for it. We lived in one of the greatest times in human civilization, and these spoiled, rotten brats and demons couldn't appreciate it. They wanted to tear stuff down, lie, not have accountability, blame everybody else, tear statues down, blame Aunt Jemima, blame the Dixie Chicks and Lady Antebellum, and now they're going to reap what they sow. Sodom and Gomorrah, hell on earth, and, literal chaos and destruction where they can't figure out how to eat. And it's disappointing, because there's a lot of good people who are going to have to suffer too, but you reap what you sow. And if they don't figure it out now, they'll figure it out eventually. So I would say prepare yourself accordingly, Figure out where you want to be around good people in a good community, regardless of the income, because in these cities run by these wicked Democrats, I'm sorry, there's no way it's going to improve until they change, and they have no plan on changing, so it's only going to decline. I just can't see why it wouldn't. The only reason it wouldn't is because genuinely, most people outside of the media and radical activists, most people are good people. In Los Angeles, a city run by wicked people, the people who really run the city, the hard workers who do the real work that keeps the city functioning, most of them are good people. Most of them are good immigrants. Most of them, even the illegal immigrants, are better than some of these people. They're hardworking people who just want to be here. So the reason this stuff won't decline in certain areas, the only reason it wouldn't would be because the majority of people are not the ones, doing all this unhinged stuff. So that's the pretty much faith silver lining I have. But me personally, I'm done with these people. Someone said calling them demons is inaccurate. You claim facts, but or demonstrate you lost a follower. I mean, Sean, I don't really care. Let's see. Let me see. I'm just gonna read the definition of demons, just to see. Demon means an evil spirit, and demons mean a source or agent of evil, harm, distress, or ruin. So by the dictionary definition, I know you're mad, your Marxist friends or whoever can't just destroy the entire, fabric of society, dictionary, statutes and stuff. But by definition, a demon means, it doesn't just mean a guy that's from the Bible that pops out and says, I work for the devil, oh, and he's black, and just got like red eyes, and he's just like hides in the shadows, and he's not like a literal like Pokemon that's just like, I'm a evil man. Like, he's got a red jacket on or something that he got from hell. The word demon literally means a source or agent of evil, harm, distress, or ruin. So a source of ruin, if somebody's breaking something, by dictionary definition, they could be called a demon. If they're harming somebody, that would technically make them a demon. Or an evil spirit. If I decide that I think these people are evil-spirited person, I could say that. I mean, they're not literally like a little Pokemon. They look like Gengar. They're like, ooh. And that's not what the word means. Just like the word retarded doesn't mean you're making fun of a mentally ill person. Everybody says, you can't say that word. Guys, it means the same. It's a more elaborate way to say somebody's dumb. The word retarded by dictionary definition means very stupid or foolish. That's what the word originally meant. You're progressing or you're retarded, retardation. You're going backwards. It means slow or limited intellectual or emotional development, or very stupid or foolish. Just because people made fun of mentally ill people one time, it doesn't mean the whole dictionary gets changed. So it's like, anomaly, you lost a follower for knowing what the word demon means, and I don't know what the dictionary means, but the dictionary offends me. Words don't mean one thing just because you want to take one definition of the word. The word retarded is a great word. The word demon is a great word. I could just use basic words, but it means a source of evil, harm, distress, or ruin. So a source of distress, a source of harm, or a source of ruin is technically, according to Merriam-Webster, a demon. It's like, why do I have to use basic words? Just an anomaly. How dare you call someone a demon? I mean, yeah, he's evil and he's causing harm and he's causing ruin, literally and physically. But, when you dive into the dictionary with that, I just don't like it. I wish you would just say a word that makes me feel good inside. It's like, how about I don't? How about you just unfollow? Look up, I think there's a Pokemon, was it Gengar? I'm gonna try to look up the Pokemon Gengar. Oh, he's purple anyway. He's like dark purple. He's got like red eyes. This is what I was talking about. I'm gonna find all right, here, I'm gonna flip it real quick. Look, this is what this guy thought I was talking about. You see it? Look. He's like, oh, anomaly use the word demon. Oh, don't call him a demon. That's my friend. They don't all look like this. It's a dictionary. Okay? We'll be okay. That's a Pokemon called Gengar. That's what I was talking about. Look at this. It's pretty funny. Look at this guy. Hold on. Anomaly, do you think it's like this? Oh, I'm gonna burn down the statue. I'm gonna burn the statue down And if Anomaly calls me a demon, I'm gonna unfollow him. No one cares. Literally no one cares. Let's take a poll on the room. 99.9% of people are laughing. Here we got more pictures, huh? All right, we'll calm down. Someone said the Webster definition said something different about retard. What are you using? I was just on Merriam-Webster, the website. I mean, the word retardation has been a word for 100 years. It's on the website. I mean, you could read Webster. You could read this is Merriam-Webster.com, the definition of demon, and then I think for retard, I don't know. I went to a different website. There's like 20 dictionaries, and different words have different meanings. You can go to certain words, they mean 50 different things. It's okay. I actually bought at a farmer's market before they closed down America. I bought an encyclopedia from the 1800s. I found it. It's only one part because I couldn't buy the whole set. But it was like one huge book from like S to V. And it was from like 1890. I bought it because I want to have it to be like, this is what this has meant for 100 years. I'm reading it. It's like, it just seems like stable. It's like that word doesn't. So I have a piece of history. It's like huge. It's like 10 pounds. Just so when people destroy the country, I could either sell it for a lot of money or just be like, look, this word has meant this for 120 years. Who are you? Just come, I want here. We'll show you what they look like again. I want to change the dictionary. All right, never mind. I'm over it. Someone said I went and purchased old history books. Yeah, it's a great idea. I mean, I'm gonna just go on a tear and just start purchasing like all the banned books just so I have them. I'm like, why are you banning this? I'm gonna have a collection of all the banned books. Someone said we definitely need to recruit more voters. Yeah, that and just like, I don't know. It's going to take more than that, but. Someone said they cause fabrics with chemical that are fire retardant. Yeah, fire retardant's a word too. It's fun though. You've been objective until this point, but don't call them demon. We have fun too. I mean, it's like I call people things sometimes. I don't know. It's funny to just make jokes. Like I'm so not apologizing. Like I have hilarious conversations with my friends. If I were to post them on Twitter or something, people would say it's hate speech. It's like, I don't know. It's so annoying. Like it's funny to make jokes. Like it's funny to make jokes about white people. I'm sorry. I text my Jewish buddy and he makes off-color jokes about Jewish people and other people. But we both laugh at it because I don't hate him. He doesn't hate me. I know he doesn't hate my ethnicity and I don't hate his ethnicity. And if he did, I don't really care who he likes and who he doesn't like. Like, I don't know. Unless he comes to my house and like hates me, then it's a problem. But it's like, it's so dumb. Like if I were to, I made a joke about Bubba Wallace the other day. I said he was like almost lighter skinned than me. If I was more famous, they'd be like, oh my God, Anomaly's a racist because he thinks Bubba Wallace isn't black. It's like, I didn't say that. I said he's half black, half white, but he looks very light skinned. I have a friend who's black. We joke about each other all the time. I always make fun of him. I say, I'm darker than you, you're light skinned. And he calls me light skinned. And it's funny because that's like an inside joke, calling each other light skinned. And that's what black people do to each other too. There's like dark skin, light skin, they call Drake light skin. It's just kind of funny. Unless you're like, I hate everybody of this skin tone and all of the light skins. Like, yeah, then you probably have a problem. You need to see a psychiatrist or something. But like jokes and Jenna Marbles is just crying. I'm so sorry that I did that. It's like, what happened to you, lady? Why are you apologizing? I'm so not sorry for any joke I made. I'm sorry for any mistake I made that was actual, but a joke? Jokes are offensive now. Cartoons, syrup bottles, like, when does this stop? These people are so pathetic. Like, racism ended because you changed master bedrooms to not say master anymore. in Texas, not even in California, in Texas. Let's look up the dictionary definition of master. These people are so racist that they think of master and they immediately think of like a slave master. It means multiple words. Master can mean a male teacher, a person holding an academic degree, a revered religious leader, a performer, an artist, or a player of consummate, a great figure of the past whose work serves as a model or ideal, one having authority over another, that's what they want to talk about, one having control, a husband, which they don't like anymore as well. It literally means, in the dictionary, a master does not mean only a slave master. The word slave master used the word master and put slave in front of it. The word master has for thousands of years or hundreds of years meant a revered religious leader, a worker, a husband, one who has authority over another, or a very skilled person who's looked up to by all. And they're changing that in Texas. These people are pathetic. So pathetic. No, I'm not. Anomaly, I mean, you've done great work your whole life, but when you said the word demon, I just don't think they're demons. They're not demons like the demon you think, but the word demon doesn't just mean demon. It's not what the word means. My mom made me read books when I was younger. I'm sorry, I'm not retarded, which means, by dictionary definition, a foolish person. People made fun of mentally ill people, which is a horrible, scummy thing to do. These people should be punished. But they did that in the 90s or the 2000s, and then everyone thought the word meant that small skew of what the word meant because there were mean people who made jokes about people who didn't deserve to be hurt. But that doesn't change the dictionary. I'm sorry. It doesn't change what retarded means. It doesn't change what master means. It doesn't change what demon means. So tired of it. Normally, I liked all your videos until you used the dictionary definition of what the word meant. It just really made me want to unfollow. Then unfollow. No. Someone said we need to boycott these huge corporations. For sure. Don't watch Netflix or whoever. It's like half the world though, but create your own business, I didn't like the media, so I made my own media. And hopefully eventually I could create my own platform. I'm just not there yet, but if you don't like it, create your own. Create your own business and then you can market yourself. I'm not a snowflake. Buy my coffee, like Black Rifle Coffee or whatever. Like, hey, I'm not a liar. I would love to use a service that wasn't run by. I used to try to eat Chick-fil-A sometimes because, until they're like, you need to bow down and kiss other people's feet. Now I'm not going to eat Chick-fil-A that much anymore. I mean, it's still delicious. I'll eat it, but I'm not going to go out of my way to eat it. And it's not that healthy anyway, but. Shaq said, you flip-flop? I'm confused. What? I don't know. What did I flip-flop on? You got to tell me. So is it even if the word was misinterpreted, it's still the First Amendment? Yeah. It's how it should be. Wonder when they'll take away white crayons? Probably soon. Thank you, Paul. Someone said, Texas used to be conservative, but the exodus of California is bringing Texas down to liberal level. People don't understand this stuff. Like, they think that, Trump could lose Texas. I mean, Beto O'Rourke literally almost lost Texas. I'm sorry, Ted Cruz almost lost Texas to Beto. It could happen, this election. I think people have gotten too complacent, and they just think, there's a lot of work to be done. So it said master or maestro is very skilled at his or her profession. Yeah, for sure. It's a word that's been around forever. It's ridiculous. So why do people feel like they have to announce their exit? I don't know, but I'm glad they did because it led to a very funny moment. So I'm glad he announced it. It is funny though. It's this is preposterous. I've had enough here. I see him he has a monocle the peanut guy or the Monopoly guy. He's I've had enough of this malarkey here, and I'm letting you know I'm exiting this community. I'm all right. I like when people do that, though. It's kind of fun. what's your take on Biden saying the amendments are not absolute? I don't think Biden even knows what he's saying, so I don't really, like, these people are not going to stop. If Trump wins, he could maybe do something about it. If not, I don't know. If Biden wins, he's like, he can't even talk properly. What's going to happen to this country? I don't know. I'm preparing for the worst. I mean, I'm hoping for the best, preparing for the worst, you know? If the best happens, I'll be pumped. If the worst happens, I'll be ready. Let's just put it that way. Someone said, I'm an optimist. It'll work its way out. Everything works its way out. It's just how ugly is it going to get before it works its way out? That's the question. I have faith in God. I have faith in myself. I have faith in certain people, and it'll be okay. But, you know, prepare. It's like with the COVID. Prepare for the worst, hope for the best. They were telling you, don't go to the grocery store. There's nothing wrong with having a month worth of food, you know? It's better to have the food and then eat it later than it is to not have any and not be able to get it. So it's like, just prepare. Thank you, Simon. I appreciate you. Don't you, here, I'll read that. Drew said, what's up, Drew? Drew said, don't you think enough people are literally afraid for their safety with the chaos? That alone will reelect Trump. It could go any way. I mean, you know, it's a lot of there's a lot of phenomenons going on together. So I'll say this and then I really got to go. Before the election, before all this chaos of COVID-19 and stuff, I still didn't think Trump was a shoo-in, even with the economy booming, because the tech companies are working to register people and brainwash them into voting Democrat. And they're working at such a high level with AI algorithms. They have the data of billions of people. People don't understand how easy that is. If you have a big email list, you're going to make a certain percentage of connections based off the number. That's why I have stayintouchwithme.com, my email list. But they have all the data. 2016, they didn't think they were going to lose, so they weren't working to the fullest. They were cheating pretty heavily, or at least biased very heavily, but they're working so hard. So even before the shutdown, the economy, all this stuff, Trump was already fighting against the grain with all that stuff. Only 60, 70 million people voted or something. Out of everyone who can vote, that's not a big percentage. You could shift. Both parties fight over the black community every 4 years, and even Trump does, they do. That's 12% of the population. And if you get to how many of them vote, you know, in the black demographic, I'm not quite sure how big that is, but it's not all of them. So that's a percentage. You're talking about all the voters, regardless of if they're black, Hispanic, white, Asian, woman, man, you know, transfusion, whatever. That's not even half the population that votes. So if you can get a chunk of non-voters to vote, you can overturn rural America, black America, Hispanic. Like, that's the voter block that nobody goes for. Or maybe they just assume they won't vote. That's who the tech companies are going for. They're registering millions of people and making them want to vote Democrat in Snapchat, Instagram. A lot of it's biased. So that's what they're doing. So even with all this stuff, now you have an economy that's messed up. Psychologically, you know, Trump doesn't have, it's not like the incumbent, if things are good, the incumbent usually wins. If things are bad, the incumbent has a harder chance of losing. So all of these things are working against Trump. He could still win. For sure, going in his favor are people are afraid that their cities are going to get burned down. A lot of people were red-pilled by documentaries and social media posts during the shutdown. So it's like a balance. There's a lot of stuff going against him. There's a lot of stuff going for him. He's got to have a few wins in place. It's going to take a collective of a lot of people breaking a lot of barriers. If Kanye West, you know, decides to tell people why he's more conservative-leaning, that's going to affect millions of people and potentially shift 10,000 votes, 1,000. I can't tell you the exact numbers, but right now, I would say, you know, things are in the balance. 4 months is going to seem like 4 years. Every month's going to be filled with stuff. There's got to be a lot of strategic winning going on in the Trump administration because these tech companies have a lot of power and a lot of data. However, you know, Parscale says he has a lot of data as well. So we'll see how it goes. But in general, I think there are elements of this that's working for Trump and working against him. It's going to take a lot to win. You know, I'm not negative about it, but my role in general that I hope people understand before I leave is you don't want to be the person who's like overly confident. In 2016, Hillary was overly confident. She lost because she didn't do anything. This year, I see a lot of people, not all, but a lot, in the Trump, movement. Some of them are very, we got this all won, but it's like you really don't. The economy just collapsed. He did not that great of a job during COVID. He did, questionable job during the riots. It's not his fault, but not everybody perceives it that way. And you got a lot of work to do. That's all I'm saying. So you don't want to be the person who's like, we got this in the bag. You don't have this in the bag. No one has this in the bag. And it's going to take a lot of work. So you don't want to get lazy. You don't want to get complacent, because very quickly things can shift. And on top of all that, you have mail-in ballots that they're pushing for mass mail-in ballots. And that's a way easier way of manipulating an election than in-person voting on a paper-backed ballot. So you have all of these things working against him. You have other forces working for him. It's a true clash. So I think if you really want him to win, don't act like he won. Figure out ways that you can help, even on a small scale. And if enough people do that on whatever scale they have capable, whether it's in their own communities, finding the right talking points and messages to try to have a conversation, to show people how you feel and why the media has been misskewing all this stuff. Even with Biden, he's not a good candidate. The dude can't talk. He's got a horrible history when it comes to race relations. He's got a horrible, attitude, really. He's not a good speaker. I mean, he's not a great candidate, so it should be very feasible to win the election, but it's going to be a combination of like everybody doing their part. And then even if Trump wins, or if Republicans win, which I think they might not, but if they win, then holding them accountable, because what are they really even doing? They're just not Democrats. It's like that's all they're really doing. For the most part, there's a lot to be desired in both parties. They want to shift the Democratic Party left. They're successfully shifting the Republican Party left, even when they're in power. Enough people have to drag these people back to reality. It's going to take a lot of effort, I think. So, we'll see what we can do. God bless you guys. God bless your family. God bless America. God bless the world. I appreciate you guys. I have fun today. And as always, I want to let you know, if you don't see my post, a lot of my live streams disappear. I put them onto YouTube and then I delete them on here. Once all the views come in, I don't like to let certain things linger, because I know that Facebook is bugging out. They're having advertisers, hate speech, this or that. I like to play my cards right, even though I'm not hateful, I'm not negative, I'm not a bad person. Their perception is so skewed because a lot of it roots from internal problems, so I pray for them. But their perception is so skewed, they're out to destroy everybody who doesn't act like them. So, I put a lot of my live streams on YouTube. So if you don't see them on here, go to YouTube or my BitChute channel. They're both on there. And you can watch most of my previous live streams, like the Bubba Wallace one. It's on my YouTube channel. You have to search Anomaly, AN0MALY, hip hop. Or just Anomaly, AN0MALY, search it in YouTube. And same with on BitChute. BitChute's at Dream Rare. Check out the videos after that. God bless you guys. I'll be back later.